Hello everyone, myself Sowmya, Assistant Professor in CSE AIML Department, MLR Institute of Technology. In this video, we are going to discuss about JavaScript variables. In the previous video, we have seen Introduction to JavaScript, where we have seen the syntax of JavaScript program, how to include the script tag in the HTML program. So now in this video, we are going to mainly discuss about what is a JavaScript variable, what are the different primitive data types are there, and what is meant by literals. Along with the basic primitive types, we also have some other primitive types and how to declare the variables. Along with this, we also see some example programs. So what is JavaScript variable? So not only in JavaScript, so generally variable means it is a container which is used to store the data value. For example, if I write a is equal to 10, here I can call a as a variable name which is used to store the value 10 in it. So it is a container which is containing the information about 10. So now all JavaScript variables are identified with the unique names. For example, if I use a is equal to 10 and I want to use one more variable, at that time you cannot write a is equal to 20. Why? Because already we have used a for some purpose. If I again use that, what happens? It will be overridden. So 10 will be stored in a location. If I write a is equal to 20 again, the same value will be overridden, but it will not create a new memory location for the second a variable. So these variables are also called as identifiers. So now how to use, what to use for variable names? So generally short names will be used for the variable names. So in JavaScript, so this is a syntax to use the variable names in JavaScript. So where is a keyword which is used to declare the variables in the JavaScript. So generally in C or Java we are using data types, integer, float, double, like that we are specifying. But here we are not using any specific data type to declare any variable, we are simply using where keyword. So here I am declaring two variables x and y, and also I am assigning the value 5 and 6 respectively. So now for var z, so z value is x plus 5, which is nothing but 11 here in this program. So we have some set of rules to define a variable name. So just like a predefined previous programming languages like C or Java, for every language there are some rules to define a variable name or identifier names, and these are all should be unique. So unique identifier should be maintained. The variable names contain, it may contain letters, it may contain digits, it may contain underscores, and it also can contain a dollar symbol in the JavaScript. But coming to the first letter, so what is the first letter? So the first letter, it may be a letter, that means it may be an alphabet. So you can write small a to z or you can use capital A to z. Other than that, you can also start with the dollar or with underscore. So you can write dollar underscore a as a variable name. So you can write dollar a as a variable name. So these are the rules for the starting letter, and names are case sensitive. That means if I write sum is equal to a plus b, but whenever you are printing this value, if I write small sum, it is not acceptable. But whenever you declare, you used capital letter, but whenever you are printing, you are using small case letters. So both are different here. Why? Because the variables in JavaScript are case sensitive, and you should not use any reserved words or keywords. So for every programming language, we have some set of predefined words, predefined keywords. So those keywords have some specific meaning. So if we use that names as a variable names, you are changing the meaning of those things. So reserved words in the sense they are like constants, you cannot change the meaning of them. For example, consider int in C or const keyword. So all these are keywords, for loop, while, all these are keywords, that means reserved words. We cannot use these names as our variable names. So these are the set of rules in JavaScript variables. So what is meant by primitive type? So we have a primitive type in the sense predefined data types. Basically we have two types of primitive types in JavaScript. So one is primitive data type and the other are objects. So primitives in the sense which are used to store the values. For example, where x is equal to 10 I am writing. So here x is a variable or identifier, but what is the type of this variable? So simply you are declaring all the variables using var keyword, that's okay, but how much space the x needs? So based on the data type only, the memory will understand, okay, how much space I need to allocate for this variable. So it will see the data. So 10 is an integer type, so it needs to allocate some 2 bytes or 4 bytes of memory, so based on the operating system. So like that, by seeing the value only, it can identify what is the data type of that variable. Why? Because while declaring you are not mentioning the data type, you are simply using var keyword for all the variables. So that is nothing but primitive. So primitive, we have these many primitive data types are there. Number, number may be float or it may be integer. So here in this case it is integer. So if I declare the value as 10.5, that may be float or double. And in the same way you have string. So you can give a single letter or multiple letters within double quotes or single quotes, that will be considered as a string. For example, hello. I can give like this or I can give like this. So both are considered as string. And now boolean, if I give true or false values in the variable names, I mean as the values of variable names like this, var x is equal to true I can give, then these values are considered as boolean values. Undefined, so I am simply declaring the value var x I am declaring, but I am not assigning any value to x. So I am not assigning x is equal to 10 or x is equal to 20, I am not doing any assignment for that. Then x will be assigned with a undefined value. So if you have declared any variable but you didn't assign any value for that, then it will be considered as undefined. So to specify this undefined value, we don't have any predefined keyword. And coming to the last one, null. So if I simply declare a variable and at the time of declaration I can assign some value like null. So to overcome this undefined values, if I don't assign any value, by default it will assign the undefined value. So to overcome that problem, you can simply assign null value here. So null is nothing but it is nothing, no value you are assigning, but at the same time it's not undefined also. So these are all primitive types. So based on the value you are giving, based on the type of the data, it will decide what is the data type. And coming to the second type, it is objective. So object is nothing but it will store the reference of the actual value. So it's like a pointer. So in C we have pointers which will store the address of another variable. So here object also same thing, it will store the reference of the actual value. So to store the reference, we have three types of objects here: number, string and boolean. So number will store the address of another number, string will store the address of another string, boolean it will store the address of another boolean variable. And we have only these three main data types, and these two are anyhow they don't have any values, so that's why we don't have any specific object types for these two. But coming to the first three types, we have the corresponding object types also. So this number, to store the address of this number, you are using this number. To store the address of this string, you are using this string object. To store the address of boolean, you are using this boolean. So if you observe here, the value is 10 here. Consider the variable name as x. So what is the address of x? Address of x is 65,530. So this I am storing as object that I can call as y. So here 10 is the actual value, actual integer value, that means it is a number, and y is also a number which will store the address of x. So next is literal. So we have seen the declaration of variable and assignment also. I am writing like this a statement: variable x is equal to 10. So here var is a keyword which is used to declare a variable, x is a variable name or identifier name, 10 is the value. So this, whatever the value you are assigning, that value is called as literals. So in JavaScript we have two types of literals. So one is numerical literal and the second one is string literal. So numerical in the sense it may be a integer value, float value or double value. But coming to strings, we have hello, it may be any string, single character or multiple characters. Within double quotes you can indicate, or within single quotes also you can indicate. So these are the different examples for numerical literals. It may be integer, it may be a double value, or it may be a float value. So literal is nothing but the value which we are assigning to the variable is called as literal. So other primitive types. So we have seen the predefined primitive types like number, string and boolean. So for boolean we have only two possible values, that is true or false, and next is null. Null also we have seen. So null is nothing but it is a keyword. What is a keyword assigned for null? It is null. That means no value. At the time of declaration you don't want to assign any value. At that case you can assign your variable with the null value. And coming to undefined, we don't have any predefined keyword to find this undefined, but if you declare a variable simply but you are not assigning any value, then the value assigned to this x will be considered as undefined. So how to declare the variables? So just now we have seen how to declare the variables using a keyword called var. So var x, y, z. So using this var keyword you can declare the variables any variable in JavaScript. So here we are writing a program. So we know in the previous video we have seen how to include the script code to your HTML code. So either in the head part or body part you can write the script tag. So in the body part I am writing the script tag. So what is the syntax for script tag? Script type is equal to text star JavaScript. Here I am declaring four different variables A, B, C, and coming to another variable is string. So we know that we should not use any predefined keywords or reserved words as our variable names, but here string is not a keyword. So most of the people will think string is a keyword, but in JavaScript string is not a keyword, so you can use that name as a variable name. So I am assigning a value to 2 and b value as 3, and I am calculating c value as a plus b. And coming to the string, I am assigning a statement, a string. What is that statement you are assigning? The result is. So now I want to get the output of C. So before printing C value, what I am writing? The result is equal to. But this message already I stored in a variable. What is that variable? String. So firstly print that value. How to print in the JavaScript? Using an object called document. In the previous video we have seen document is an object which will refer to the HTML document. So we have two documents, you have two scripts here. One is JavaScript and the other one is HTML document. So from the JavaScript you want to access this HTML document. How to access that? Using an object called document. So how to write onto the document? Using a function called write. So document.write, firstly I am printing a variable string. What is the variable? Value of string? The result is equal to. And next again document.write, you are printing C value. What is C value? C is a plus b. What is a and b value? 2 and 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. So what is the output I will get? I will get result is equal to 5. This is the output for this program. So simply we will see the output for this. So the output for this is the result is equal to 5. This is the output for this program. So next concept is scope of variable. So scope is nothing but accessibility of a variable. So till which point I can access this variable. So in JavaScript we have three types of scopes. One is block scope, second one is function scope, and the third one is global scope. So what is block scope? So you can open a block without any function in JavaScript. So simply using a curly brace you can open a block. So if you want to close that block, simply close the block. If I want to declare any variable within that block, you can use a keyword called let. So let x is equal to 2. Previously we are using var keyword, but here to declare the block scope, I mean the variables which you want to declare within the block, you can use the keyword let. So here if I use a keyword let within the block, then this variable will be accessed only within this braces. If I want to access this x value after closing that block, you cannot access that. When it is possible? Only when you declare your variable using let keyword. So we'll see the example. So this is the example program. Here I am opening the script tag immediately without having any function. Simply I am opening the brace. So now I am declaring the variable as let x is equal to 10. I am just printing that. After closing that block, again I am printing the x value. So what I should get here? I should get 10 two times. Why? Because within the block you are printing once, and after closing the block also you are printing once. We will check the output. So I am getting 10 only once. Why? Because so here you are using the keyword let and you are using block scope. So if you use block scope and if you are using let keyword, that will be accessed only within this block. So I am getting this x value, but after closing this block also again you are printing. So this is not printing, that is why I am not getting the second 10. So if you want to change this, then you can make it as var. Now if I observe the output, I am getting 10 two times. See, even if you have block scope, you have created a block, but you are declaring your variable using the keyword var. So that is why it is not working as a block scope. So within the block you can access this variable. After closing this block also you can use the variable. Why? Because you are using the keyword var. So that is the difference between var and let. So this is block scope. So just now we have seen this program. If I use var keyword within the block scope, I will get 2 tens. And coming to the second one, local scope, or you can also call it as function scope. That means you are declaring a variable within a function. So I think till now we didn't discuss about the functions in JavaScript. In the next video we are going to discuss about functions, but here we will see a function scope example, simple example. So here in this program I am just opening the script tag. So we know script tag, we have an attribute called type. Script type is equal to text or JavaScript you are giving, but you can also give like this. Simply script you can give without having any attribute. So what I am doing here, simply I am calling a function called my function. So my function you are calling. I am calling this as a calling statement. After calling this you are putting a semicolon. That means it is a calling. But what about the function code? Where the function code? Here I am writing the function code. So using a function keyword you are declaring a function. What is a function name? My function. We don't have any parameters, so empty parenthesis, open the brace. So in this function I am declaring a variable. What is the variable name? Let. Using let keyword I am declaring the variable. What is the variable name? Car name. Car name value is Volvo, and within the function itself I am declaring the car name. And after closing that function, outside I am printing the car name. So I should get this value 2 times. Why? Because whenever you call this function, one time you should get. After closing this function, in the script you have one more statement for printing car name. Here also I should get. So we'll check the output. So I am getting only for once. Why? Because this car name has the scope, function scope or local scope. You may think this is just because of using let keyword. We will change it to var. Now we'll observe. See, even if I change it to var also I am getting the output only once. That means this is not a block scope here. It is a function scope or local scope. So within a function, if you declare any variable that may be using let keyword or var keyword, so that will be accessible only within the function but not outside the function. But if it is block scope. Simply you are opening a block without any function, then let will work as a block scope. That means if you declare any variable using let keyword, within that block you can access, out of that block you cannot access. So last one is global scope. So here if you want to declare a variable globally, then you need to declare the variables outside of all blocks, outside of all functions. That means you are opening a script tag and you are declaring a variable car name and the value is Volvo. Here I am using the let keyword, but even if you use let keyword, this will work as a global. Why? Because you are declaring this value outside of the function. Before writing the function itself you are declaring. So outside the function if you declare any variable, then that will be considered as a global variable. So this variable you can access within the function and outside the function also. So I am simply calling the function, and within the function I am simply printing that variable. So I will check the output once. So I am getting Volvo once. So now if I want to print this value after coming out of the function, so I am getting Volvo 2 times here. That means here you are declaring this variable as global, that is why you are able to access this value within the function, outside the function. This also works with var keyword. So even if I change it to var also, the output is same. So whatever the keyword we use, var or let, if you declare that variable outside of all the functions, then it will work as a global variable. So in this session we discussed about what is JavaScript variable, what are the different primitive types are there, what is meant by literals, and how to declare the variables, and we also seen the scope of the variable. Thank you.